welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you tuning in, and today I've got a very special video for you. This video is going to be all about the GoPro Hero 11 and my predictions for that camera. So, without further ado, here it is. This is DemonView. So it's that time of year again where you're probably seeing countless articles or YouTube videos where people are claiming to have inside knowledge or leaks about the next GoPro model. Spoiler alert, they don't, they're just parroting the usual nonsense. To save you time, I'm going to summarize what all these videos you see on YouTube contain. A. The new models are traditionally released in September. Duh. B. A wish list of what people actually want to see in the next release, as unrealistic as that may be. And C, doubling the specs of the previous models, which is something that lazy people do every year, in which case the Hero 10 would have the ability to record in 256K resolution at this stage if we just keep doubling specs since the GoPro Hero 4. So this is where I make my own predictions about the next upcoming model, only my predictions are slightly different. Why? Well, mine are not only based upon years of experience in a large multinational electronics company regarding design, development, implementation and deployment of next-gen model hardware, they're also based on research and statements made by GoPro themselves, white paper sources only, and their previous release strategies. So why should you pay attention to this video? Well, if you watched my video from last year when I was making the GoPro Hero 10 predictions, you'll actually see I got a lot of that stuff right regarding the specs, design and capabilities. I even predicted the GoPro Volta would come along, and it did. So I'm going to break this down into three categories. What's likely to be coming, what's borderline, it may or may not happen, and what's definitely not going to happen. So rather than keep you wondering, here's my predictions for the next model GoPro and my explanations as to why I'm thinking this particular thing. So, what's coming? Well, actually, number one, a redesigned camera. It may not be a radical redesign, in fact it's likely going to keep the basic look of the traditional GoPro. Users probably wouldn't be happier if the camera was any heavier, however reducing the footprint of the camera may not do much for heat dissipation either. So I expect the size to be roughly about the same, and as well as the button placement, that type of thing. However, I expect the battery and USB ports and covers to have a complete overhaul. So why do I think this? Well, a couple of reasons. The microphone drain cover. People have been breaking this ever since it was introduced in the Hero 9. Some pop it open thinking it's a removable cover, and some people have even used it as a place to secure their lanyard to their camera. I kid you not. Since this is a non-removable or replaceable part, GoPro will have to have a lot of returns from people breaking this small cover, so that's something that GoPro want to prevent to save costs and times. So, why the redesigned battery and USB ports? Well, that one's kind of obvious. The Media Mod 2.0. GoPro will probably want to make a few better features, and however the Media Mod has two significant problems ever since it was introduced. Poor quality microphones and a design that was too much hard work to install and remove. If you wanted to change the battery or access the SD card directly, then you pretty much had to disassemble the whole camera. With the redesign of the Media Mod to make it more of a quick release system, that would be a big win for GoPro and users. This would likely require a redesign of the USB port and battery cover to make it compatible with the quick release system. So why am I saying this? Well, if you've been paying attention to GoPro's website and emails, they've been pushing the discounted sales of GoPro Hero 9 and 10 accessories. Everything from the Max Lens mod, batteries, Media Mod, even the 3-way. With steep discounts on many of these items, there is only one real reason to actually want to reduce inventory like this, and that's simply because the next camera will not be compatible with these items. And the sales of these items will drop once the new camera is introduced. So time for inventory reduction as the new design is coming along. New resolutions and frame rates. Now this is a bit of a no-brainer, it happens with every model, however this may be implemented in a brand new way. As per usual, it's not going to be a huge jump in resolution, but it may depend on the sales of certain mods to enable these resolutions. So why am I saying this? Well, the Max Lens mod was a good seller for GoPro and offered 360 stabilized horizontal lock. However, the downside was that it only worked in 2.7K, and I can honestly see the Max Lens mod 2.0 being released to allow for the same capability, but in 4K resolution. This may also pave the way for a 6K widescreen mod. This is something that the Insta360 One RS has offered, and it just looks fantastic. So GoPro will want to compete in that area rather than lose customers to the competition. Finally, slow motion. Yeah, we'll have faster frame rates in certain resolutions, but as we all know, higher frame rates usually means that the camera runs at a higher temperature, and GoPro don't want any more overheating videos on the internet. So this mega slow motion or super slow motion might actually be a burst setting, only allowing you to shoot for 30 seconds maximum. So, onto the borderline, what may or may not happen. Nameable presets. People have been asking this for years, ever since the preset mode was introduced. It was a big want, but I think it's unlikely to happen anytime soon. So why do I say that? Well, this one's complicated and basically has to do with the architecture of the GoPro firmware code. GoPro haven't had a successful history of firmware releases. In fact, the boot loop issue caused by an older firmware release, and I'll put that video link down below, it was a bit of a disaster. So trying to design firmware that allows users to start entering countless settings under all sorts of different names may be just too hard for GoPro to introduce just yet. It's also something they'll keep in their back pocket in order to push sales of the next model if the market starts dropping. A larger sensor. The problem with GoPros currently is that in low light they just aren't great. Combine that with hyper smooth and your footage is just downright unusable in low light. So to use a GoPro in low light you pretty much have to turn hyper smooth off and use a gimbal. Something that's not great for a camera that prides itself on having gimbal-like performance, so a larger sensor may just not happen. Why do I say this? Well, a larger sensor would help solve the low-light problem, but with a larger sensor the focus close-up suffers. And the 1-inch sensor mode for the Insta360 works well in low light, but it means you can't really use it for vlogging due to the focal length changing. I mean, you kind of have to hold it much further away from you. So one possible solution to this is that GoPro could use a larger sensor in the camera but have a specific vlogging lens, and that mod would be used in order to clean up that focus and crop the actual user. Now, since a lot of GoPros are used for vlogging or close-up action, it means that this mod would have to be the default one that comes with the GoPro model, and that might be a hard sell, especially with the price bracket that GoPro likes to sell in, which is the $400 to $550 range. So it's possible the GoPro might get a larger sensor, but I don't think it's that likely. New mounting system. Now, GoPro have had their specific mounting fingers for quite some time now. This is something that can be a bit of a pain, and sometimes needing to tighten your GoPro mounts have led to broken thumb screws or stripped thumb screws themselves. So although it's a bit out of date and the new media mod will require a quick release system, I suspect that the mounting fingers will actually remain in place. Why do I say this? Well, because there's numerous knockoff selfie sticks, mounts and tripods that all have the traditional 3/4 inch thread on them. GoPro accessories use very specific GoPro mounting fingers, and GoPro have quite a large inventory of that. The mounting fingers also pretty much guarantee the sales of these items since they're directly compatible with GoPro cameras. And they're just better quality than the knockoffs, and they're specifically designed for GoPros, like I said. It's also the design that GoPros are famous for, so I honestly don't think that GoPro will have a different mounting system. So what's definitely not going to happen? Well, Bluetooth audio recording. Not a chance in my opinion. This is likely to do with patents and who owns them, and if GoPro could have done it, they would have already done it already. Even the Insta only works with Apple iPod or AirPods, I believe, so I can't really see this one coming. So why do I say that? Well, although Bluetooth audio has been getting better, frankly, it's just not good enough for high-quality audio recording. GoPro want quality video and audio associated with their cameras, especially on people's videos, so they don't really want to hear badly compressed Bluetooth audio. So this one's just too long to get into in depth or detail, but no, I just can't see that happening. 8K video. Okay, this one comes up every single year, and honestly, it's just not going to happen. There's no point as to do this because it would just cripple users. Why do I say that? Well, the majority of people out there are still actually using 1080p TVs. Sure, 4K sets are cheaper now, but they're not the dominant format yet, and 8K has barely made a dent in the market. So there's just no point. Then there's the computing power hurdles for older phones, older PCs, and even with the GoPro itself, 8K is just not feasible. And it's pretty bad math too, since 5.3K is nearly double the resolution of 4K, not 8K. So put 8K out of your heads for now. It's just not going to happen unless we have a big breakthrough with H.226 encoding. And when that happens, then we'll talk. Edge-to-edge display, removable display, wireless charging. Nope, nope, nope. Why? Well, the reasons GoPro don't have an edge-to-edge display so they have a nice rubber bumper around the edge of them to absorb impacts when they fall or get dropped. If they were to remove this, GoPro damage will be significantly increased. Even if you put a thicker, toughened glass there, it's still not going to happen. I mean, with safety glass, the best place to attempt to break it is right in the corner as it doesn't flex as much. And that's the same will be true of the GoPro. So if they got rid of that rubber bumper around the edge, you'd just have a lot more broken GoPros. So you're not going to have an edge-to-edge display. The display won't be removable either, although this rumor has been around a couple of years now. A removable/remote display would be easily lost, and it would also need contacts on the back of the GoPro, which would mean that the GoPro wouldn't be waterproof. And if it was a removable thin light display, then that wouldn't be waterproof to the depths that GoPro are used to or are well known for. And wireless charging is unlikely to happen, as you'd have to increase the weight or the size of the GoPro or reduce the size and capacity of the batteries, so it's just not something users are going to get this time around. So there you have it, the 3 things that are likely to happen, the 3 maybes, and the 5 things that definitely aren't going to happen. So finally, when can we expect to see the GoPro Hero 11? Well, maybe not as soon as you think. I mean, traditionally GoPros have been released every September, but according to a statement made by Nick Woodman, the next flagship camera may not release until the 4th quarter of the year, and that would put it into October at the earliest. And since this is a redesigned model camera, I can see that being likely, as there are too many kinks to be worked out. So October at the latest, providing there are no production issues. After all, GoPro will still want to have the release date sales, and then the slump before the Christmas rush, rather than release the camera in November and have people say, well, in that case, I'm just going to wait until Christmas to buy it. So, little added bonus. Can we see a Max 2 this year? Well, it may happen, and it may not. The GoPro Max is due an update due to its age, and people have even released predictions of a GoPro Max 2 being released due to a recent patent filing. However, that patent filing, if you actually read it, wasn't really about the design of a GoPro Max 2 or anything specific to a GoPro Max. It was more about how the GoPro app would actually be able to recognize certain scenes in a 360 video and use those scenes to automatically create a video. So the patent, which is a finalization of an old patent by the way, is more about scene recognition in the 360-degree sphere. We do know that GoPro will be releasing at least one more camera this year, and people actually want it to be a new session. So what's the one thing out there that GoPro competitors are doing that GoPro hasn't really done yet? What model could this camera actually be? Well, here's a prediction for you. How about a dedicated GoPro webcam? Now, think about it. The GoPro webcam app that's available right now, which basically makes a GoPro emulate a webcam, it hasn't been the most reliable of apps. It has compatibility problems with a lot of webcam apps, and it's limited in what it can do. However, when it does work, the image quality can be quite good, especially in low light. It's just not adjustable. So something that people still want and seem to be buying, and this is why we're seeing so many high-end webcam models being released still, is a decent webcam. GoPros can be used as a webcam, but there are user complaints about overheating, onboard mics not working, batteries not charging while it's in use. So GoPro might take a bold step in getting rid of these issues by simply releasing a dedicated GoPro webcam model, one that uses an actual webcam driver as opposed to emulating a webcam over a wireless network connection. So there you go, there's a pretty bold prediction for the final camera that GoPro are going to release this year. So, hey, those are my predictions. We have basically between 1 and 2 months to find out how many of these come true, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think we're going to see in the next GoPro model that gets released, and whether or not we're going to see a Max 2 this year. So this is the video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and please click like and subscribe. It really does help with the channel views, and I do appreciate it. Until next time, cheerio.